Management and Science University is an applied and enterprise university that offers exposure to compelling learning experiences, taking learning beyond the boundaries of the classroom. MSU provides industry and entrepreneurial embedded areas of studies covering wide-ranging disciplines. Its industry-embedded programs offer connected pathways to students, providing them opportunities to fulfill their career needs, regardless of their socio-economic and academic background. 25 key research areas undertaken across faculties, schools, postgraduate centers, and the University Center of Excellence, namely IT, LEAD, and E-Class, provide the platforms for research undertakings and the advancement of entrepreneurial efforts at MSU. Enriching its research ecosystem are the research grants and seed funding provided by the university, its industry partners, and government agencies through the Fundamental Research Grant Scheme. With students from multi-ethnic background and international students from 41 countries, the campus environment comes alive with wide-ranging activities to complement teaching and learning. Internationalizing the MSU brand of education are the branch campuses located in Bangalore, Colombo, Jakarta, partner institutions and international affiliated centers in Central Asia, Middle East, Indochina, and the Asia-Pacific region, offering program of studies within these regions. MSU's very own affiliated colleges located in 10 Malaysian cities make accessibility convenient to areas of studies provided. These position MSU to continuously offer various modes involving MOOC, blended, full-time and part-time learning to all segments of the community. 8 core focus areas inclusive of medicine, music and fashion, hospitality and culinary, education and social sciences, business management and professional studies, information sciences and engineering, pharmacy and health sciences are provided as part of its effort at enriching learning in the Industry 4.0 era. MSU has been consistently set as benchmark for growth and achievement. Led by a passionate proponent for excellence in education who through innovative leadership sets new standards in 21st century learning, making MSU as a preferred choice for continuing higher education and training. Over 150 programs of studies at the undergraduate and postgraduate levels are offered through its faculties, schools and centers of learning. Complementing knowledge acquisition, personal development and skills competency are provided to support learning beyond the traditional learning space. Global mobility programs, community engagement, competition, industrial exposure, graduates' employability skills and personal enrichment competency are factors that enrich the learning experiences of all MSU students. The knowledge and education transfer programs and the various university community engagement undertakings offer conducive platforms for students' transformation process. To ensure all students have a balanced academic and transferable skills, GEMS or Graduate Employability Skills is introduced to monitor students' involvement in co-curricular activities. Through the personal enrichment competency, a range of courses focusing on specific transferable skills integrated into the academic delivery helps develop students' soft skills at MSU. The University Industry Advisory Panel ensures that the university stays relevant with current challenges on graduates' employability. MSU's integrated entrepreneurship ecosystem through the Leadership and Entrepreneurship Advancement Institute provides a strong support to future entrepreneurs. Topping this is the 98.5% graduates employability based on a tracer study undertaken by the Ministry of Education, making MSU as the best university in Malaysia on graduates employability. International and local brands engage MSU graduates. Maybank, Citibank, Samsung, Canon, HSBC, and a host of other industry partners. Enhancing regional and international recognition is another of MSU's effort at ensuring continual drive for excellence and quality. This Malaysian Qualification Agency accredited university is a Tier 5 excellent rated institution, a recognition from the Malaysian Ministry of Education. It is also rated as the most entrepreneurial private university by the Ministry of Education Malaysia through the MEA 2016 Awards. Recognition received from a host of other agencies and bodies further fortify MSU as a university that is steeped in quality and excellence. Its steadfastness for quality has brought in the Brand Laureate Award for Best Brand in Education, recognizing the university's excellence in leadership and human capital management. As a Tier 5 excellent university, MSU is one of Malaysia's best teaching and learning university, a favorite choice among many student-sponsoring agencies inclusive of the Bruneian, Indonesian, Maldivian governments, the Kwok Foundation, the Hadramaut Establishment for Human Development, the Malaysian Civil Service Department, JICA, the Peneraju Foundation, MARA, the STAR, and various other private as well as public sponsoring bodies. At the international level, the university's successes in generating well-rounded graduates against a backdrop of quality and excellence has seen itself being awarded the International 5-Star in QS rating involving employability, teaching, inclusiveness, facilities, and social responsibility. MSU is the first non-Japanese university to be recognized by the Alliance of Business Education and Scholarship for Tomorrow Japan. It is also the premier university status under the Accreditation Services for International Colleges, United Kingdom. There are over 150 international partner universities which help enhance global collaborations in student mobility, joint research undertakings, and dual degree offering with MSU. Moving in tandem with its role in 21st century education is the MSU Medical Center, a teaching hospital which support medical education and training to future and current health professionals. And the residents, MSU's very own students' housing that offer convenient on-campus living. Savor the enriching learning experiences at MSU. Build your skills and enhance your standing and be better prepared for the demands of 21st century through programs that involve students in global mobility, competitions, environmental sustainability campaigns, and a host of other community engagement efforts. MSU, a university that transforms lives and enriches your future.
organize a webinar in this tough situation of the country. And thank you to each and everyone, one of you, for being here with us today. I'm Tindra Sakdeni, following the Bachelor in Business Management program at MSI. So this is our first event that we have organized at the university. This is a great opportunity that we have got to improve our knowledge and work as a team also. So stay tuned to get a virtual experience with the Zoom webinar on use of technologies for mice development. ceremony. I kindly invite Mr. Sam Paris, the director at MSI, to light the oil lamp.
Thank you.
Our guest speaker is Habib Paul. The lecturer and the program manager at MSI, Mr. Ali Abdullah.
Thank you.
Ms. Vishwani Kasturi Arachchi, lecturer and the program manager at MSI.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your contribution. I kindly invite Mr. Bevan Steven, one of our students of Bachelor Event Management program at MSI, for the welcome speech.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the students of Bachelor's Event Management Program and the staff of MSI Colombo, I would like to warmly welcome our distinguished guests and all viewers joining with us. This is an initiative taken by our class to educate the public about the MICE industry and the potential to help in developing new job opportunities while attracting more tourists into the country. Please keep along as the next 1.5 hours will be filled with knowledge for all of us. Once again, I would like to welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bevan. Climbing Mount Everest is a feat of human accomplishment, but only achievable with the direction of knowledge and guide. Just like those climbers, our university needs an experienced guide. We are excited to having a leader like you to our university. By working together and achieve goals and overcome challenges together is great victory that we have got with you, sir. So I invite Mr. Samantha Paris, the Director of Management and Science Institute, for keynote speech.
Saling, I guess we lost the connection. What you had it previously, we have not heard properly.
We can hear well. I can hear well.
Can you hear now, sir?
Yeah, you can, yes.
Okay. Climbing Mount Everest is a feat of human accomplishment, but only achievable with the direction of knowledge and guide. Just like those climbers, our university needs an experienced guide. We are excited to having a leader like you to our university, sir. By working together to achieve goals and overcome challenges together is great victory that we have got with you, sir. So I invite Mr. Samantha Paris, the Director of Management and Science Institute, for keynote speech.
Good morning to everybody. I'm so sorry I did not hear the last word in that. I do not know whether whether the keynote speak to be start or what. And on behalf of Management Science Institute and the Management Science University Malaysia, we are welcoming you for the webinar being organized by the Bachelors of Event Management Honors Degree students. And as we all know, due to these travel issues as well as other infrastructure problems facing many of us during these days, we decided to have this event virtually, considering the convenience of most of our participants. Today, this event will be focused on MICE tourism under the theme of essentials for using online MICE technologies for event industry. As you all knows what is MICE, I just, as a courtesy, I just brief everybody. Basically, MICE or MICE tourism, a type of consists of meetings, incentive, travels, conference, exhibitions, and events where which larger groups usually plan well in advance are brought together. We just briefly saying as an MICE. And we'll see about what's the MICE tourism, MICE business industry or today in Sri Lanka. At present, as you all know, the MICE is not new to Sri Lankans. And presently around 11% of these total visitors coming to Sri Lanka represent the MICE segment, which is meeting, incentives, conventions or exhibitions or whatever. Sri Lanka has a long tradition of hosting major MICE businesses, meetings and events, etc. The country offers facilities for the corporate training programs, natural sittings, as well as exclusive incentives and etc. When we talk about the global MICE industry, it's an essential, remarkable growth in this between 2021 to 2028 timeframe. Rising adoptions of virtual MICE meetings by businesses is driving to growth of this market. Especially in Asia Pacific market is expected to be ahead rather than when we talk about US as well as European markets. And most preferable venues as we know for the corporate as well as MICE businesses are like Hong Kong, Singapore, UK, France, Thailand, Malaysia, Italy, Germany, China, recently Dubai as well as Switzerland. Most of this number of meetings are held in Spain, UK, Germany, Italy, France, Switzerland and Australia, Japan and Portugal, especially in the United States as well. Let's see that with the discussions on today, how we encouraging those businesses to bring into our country to boost our economy as well as especially travel, tourism and the leisure industry through the event management industry in Sri Lanka. Basically, in the revenue wise, it can be spending of like, higher spenders, maybe 2 to 3 times more than the other, the usual travelers coming to Sri Lanka, because most of the time they are rich and they are coming represent the corporate sector. Sometimes half of their payments are settled by their organizations, and also they have enough finance for them to be, enjoy their holidays and all. And again, high level of support services and direct and indirect employment opportunities will be granted through these MICE businesses, as well as a tendency of generate repeat holidays through them. That will be another opportunity. And again, airline industries as well as all other the travel, tourism, leisure industry stakeholders will be able to get benefits through these MICE businesses, and therefore they are discussing in these topics what you have been planned on today, especially essentials for using the online MICE technologies for event industry. I think none other days, it's very important for us on during this strategic situation. Especially we are struggling with the US dollars as well as and especially the travel, tourism, leisure industry and the event industry has been drastically gone down in Sri Lanka. And during that time, as an students identify this, that component and bringing this on today for discussions and having expertise joining in this session to share the knowledge about within Sri Lankan community. We are greatly appreciate all our students in the event management program. Let's a little bit of in my duty to discuss about the university. We are Management Science University Malaysia, one of the 601 key Best World Rank University. We offer hospitality, leisure, and the other nearly about 125 different programs from foundations to diploma, diploma to degree, degree to masters to PhD level. We are one of the second best hospitality and leisure management provider in the Malaysia, as well as in the world ranking in the 11th in the world. And We do offer the diploma in event management, leading to the Bachelor's of Event Management Honors Degree program, and students will be getting a number of pathways as well as other facilities to the Management Science University Malaysia, either halfway to study in Colombo and transfer to our partners around the world, or else time to time travel to Management Science University Malaysia and get little bit of international exposure through our university. And students being organized a number of event activities for them to practice real event culture. Event management degree program, and again, as an international university, it's a very great pleasure to produce event management, academic event management professionals through Management Science University Malaysia. The first batch of Bachelors of Event Management Honors Degree students being graduated very recently, like last Saturday. I hope that will be another great potential for Sri Lanka when we are talking about development of the MICE industry. And for this event, we have invited Mrs. Paddy Paul. We all know one of our senior lecturers as well as a well-renowned leisure industry professional with the local and international experience to enhance your knowledge, to share the opportunities can be grabbed by Sri Lankans, especially during this time of industry suffering very badly. I hope Ms. Paddy Paul's inputs as well as guidance. I knew that she was serving for one of the leading tour operator long time in Middle East, and again she's having a vast experience in the industry. I guess Ms. Paddy, you are one of the great potential for us, and thank you for accepting our students' invitation and coming to share your experience as well as knowledge for the people who are in the travel, tourism, leisure, as well as MICE industry, for them to think something rationally, something differently in order to survive within these situations. Also, our lecturers, Mr. Ali Idrus, as well as Ms. Vishwani, to share their knowledge as well as an experience for the students as well as the people and stakeholders in the MICE industry and the event management industry. I'm taking this opportunity to thanks all our degree students for organizing this event with a lot of challenges and all, by considering such an important topic such as MICE businesses during this subsistence situation in the country. And finally, I'm thanking all our participants, including the diploma and degree students who are participating virtually as well as physically, and giving supports and encouragement for our students for this event. And I hope this event will be very successful. Discussions as well as Q&A sessions and all been there for you to enhance your knowledge as well as get something out of the MICE industry in globally as well as in locally. Thanking you and wishing all the success for this event.
Thank you, sir. Again, I welcome all the eminent speakers and guests who have different walks of life and came here to share their knowledge and vast experience with the student community. With Ms. Paddy Paul, our guest speaker, Ms. Vishwani Kasturi Arachi and Mr. Ali Abdullah Idrus are with us today to make the event successful and to share their knowledge and the experience on use of new technologies for MICE development. And we are supposed to conduct an Q&A session as well as get the involvement of the audience as well. So if you have any kind of questions or any suggestions regarding this topic, feel free to ask from the chat or the comment sections as well. So Ms. Paddy Paul, continuing the strength and the driving the force behind the Golden Isle today is renowned for the innovative MICE program she creates and respected for the improvements of the initiated in that sector. Her experience and expertise in the MICE sector is unmatched in Sri Lanka. She has stepped nearly 30 years ago into the world tourism quite by chance. This gave her the great opportunity to travel around the globe and even work overseas as well. So Ms. Paddy Paul, although having spent almost her entire career advertising people on their career development, She is the Managing Director of Golden Isle Travel in Sri Lanka for more than 11 years. Former Director of John Keels, former Director of Workers, and former Manager of Workers Tours as well. She has more than 30 years of experience in the MICE industry, not only the Sri Lanka, but also in other countries as well. So it's a great pleasure for me to introduce our guest speaker today, who is going to talk us about the technology usage in MICE industry. This is a subject which we should all be deeply interested when we discussing the current economy in Sri Lanka. So, Ms. Paddy, what do you think about the technology usage in MICE industry?
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. I hope you can hear me well.
Yeah, Miss can hear.
Okay, right. Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me for this very a session, which is most wanted in our MICE industry. And I'm very happy also to talk about it and how it has evolved just in these 2.5 years. When the pandemic hit us, everybody was so nervous what would happen to the MICE industry. Everybody started to say, how can we connect? How can we keep our businesses going? And lo and behold, all kinds of technology, just in these 2.5 years, it has improved immensely. And it's really unthinkable. When we did physical events, nobody bothered, nobody thought how advanced the technology can be, which in turn would have brought us to economically saving so much money. Nobody thought. So as I always say, I personally like to meet people, and I don't like too much to be on Zoom and to interact with people, because I think when you interact personally, there is much, much more effectiveness. Having said that, in today's context, after the pandemic, I think people have switched to technology, and people have switched to technology and adapted to technology very, very well. So I think it's going to stay because there are more advantages than disadvantages. So when people are organizing events now, there was an event early this month in Dubai, the ATM, which is a huge show in the Middle East, has been running for about 10, 12 years. And this year, they had it physically. It was quite well attended. However, after the physical event, they had 2 days of virtual event, giving the facility for people who were not able to be present to interact, meet, and network. How awesome can that be? People never thought about it. So if we said we were going to have 1,000 people attending an exhibition or an event, we now have 2,000 people actually entering into this event, either physically or virtually, and taking advantage, gaining knowledge, saving money, and using less time than they would have if they had to go physical. And in these 2.5 years, when technology has switched to the usage more and more in the MICE business, we have actually developed amazing ways of using this technology. If you take the mobile phone, we probably used it to communicate by telephone or by WhatsApp, maybe sometimes browsing. But now this telephone is being used for so many things, this mobile, because it's become an app that you can use for face recognition, for voice recognition, to capture your moods when you are in a room. I was reading the other day how this technology is used, that when you are in a room and if somebody is feeling that the air condition is too much, they don't have to actually get up and go and tell somebody. With the movement and the uneasiness of how people feel, it captures, and then you can adjust the air conditioning. So, and if you can't hear very well, and you start to attract somebody, it can capture you, and then they can adjust your the sound system as well. So the mobile phone is now become, you can scan. Actually, now when you go to a meeting, you don't have to wait, you don't have to register, you don't have to do anything. Online, you will receive your a passcode, and you load it onto your computer, onto your mobile phone, and then you just swipe it. While you're discussing, talking to people, you just swipe and you walk in. Or facial recognitions are now used very much, even in the airports now. Nobody is doing anything else. There is no thumbprints. All of this has gone out of fashion. Everybody now scans you on facial expression. So there is that much more technology that has come in, and it's an amazing thing how we have developed. And for the MICE segment, I can assure you, definitely this technology is required. If we want to grow, if we want to grow our network, and if we want to spread the messages that we want to and improve the way we do business, definitely technology is here, and it is here to stay. Thank you. If anyone has any questions, I'll be very happy to answer.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, Ms. Paddy Paul. We'll see if there are any questions. So now let me introduce Mr. Ali Abdullah Idrus, who is co-lecturer and a program manager at MSI. He studied at Uva-Vellasa University, and he is making his generous contribution to help students move further in his industry under his proper guidance. His daily commitment to this university is beyond words. He is very skilled and working under pressure and solves complex situations. So, as well-experienced role model in this hospitality industry, what do you think about rebuilding MICE industry in Sri Lanka by using technology, sir?
Yes, thank you very much, Chindara, right, for your invitation. Right, so yes, now one of the most important questions that you have asked, right, because nowadays we know most of us are searching ways, right, so how we are going to overcome this critical situation, right. So previously we were affected by COVID-19 pandemic, and also then we affected by the economic crisis. Now due to all this stuff, right, now we are facing how we are going to overcome this particular critical situation, right. So everyone will be accepting that yes, tourism will be one of the best ways that we will be able to recover. Right. So since we have to earn more and more foreign exchange, and we have to make stabilize our economy, right. So it's very important, right. So when it comes to the tourism, the business tourist or the MICE industry is one of the main industries that we could focus. Right. There are a few reasons behind that. Right. So we'll discuss one by one. Right. So since this event industry create a kind of a huge impact towards the country's economy. For example, if you think about some events which were held in the foreign countries, sometimes after that particular event, they have created so many economic benefits. For example, the direct employments as well as the indirect employments, as well as even the people, those who have not directly involved to the event, still they have received some benefits. That, for example, even the transportation providers can be. And so this is the uniqueness of the event industry. If we can combine everyone together to create a kind of a good environment to conduct the events, that definitely we can have a good foreign exchange earnings to the country. That's but with this situation, right? So it is a kind of a challenging environment that we are living. Right? So how we are going to hold the event in Sri Lanka? Right? Sometimes this can be a challenging situation. Right? Because we know when it comes to the current situation of Sri Lanka, sometimes we cannot ensure the 100% security and the safety of the tourist who is going to visit to Sri Lanka. Right? So in this kind of a situation, right? So we have to sometimes conducting an event will be a kind of a threat, right? Or it can be creating a kind of a negative image towards our tourism and tourism industry, especially the event industry. Right? So that's what we have to understand, how we are going to utilize the technology for the modern events. And so utilizing the technology will be one of the best tools that we will be able to overcome this particular issue in the country. Right? For example, if we take about our event now, the event that we are conducting today, right? So see, most of us are joining through online, right? So even we have these difficulties in finding fuel, right? Sometimes we might be difficulties in finding some other necessary things that is required to conduct the event, but still we have managed and everyone has been doing, and this is conducting in a successful manner because we have utilized the new technology. Right? So this is what we have to understand. Right? So rather than saying that we are facing these issues and that issues, that somehow we have to think in a positive way. Right? So even during this kind of economic crisis, that how we are going to utilize the available technology for our development of the events. Right? So the main thing what I have seen is now even in the travel sector we can see this kind of emerging trend in this country. Right? So when it comes to Sri Lanka, this is when it comes to our country Sri Lanka, the labor cost is a bit low when we are comparing with some other countries. Right? For example, if you think about the Apple Corporation, right? So what they are going to manufacture most of their mobile phones at China, right? The reason is they can find the labor at a cheaper price from China, right? So same like that in Sri Lanka also, there are some travel organizations, right? Nowadays they are planning to come to Sri Lanka and start up the businesses, but they are not going to promote Sri Lanka as a destination. For example, assume a person is from UK and he wants to go to Africa. Right, one person is there from UK and he wants to go to Africa. This particular tour creation is going to be done in Sri Lanka by using our whatever the available labor, because we have enough educated set of people as the workforce in Sri Lanka. So definitely we can utilize this. Right. So for example, assume now we are going to create a kind of a travel agency in Sri Lanka, but we are not just promoting only Sri Lanka. Sometimes, for example, we are facilitating some other parts of the traveling. For example, the reservation part, right? Those things are conducted in Sri Lanka, but the tourist is not coming to Sri Lanka, but from UK they are going to Africa. Right? So, but still we can provide our service. Right? So likewise, when it comes to the event industry also, we can be a kind of a set of people who can host the events. Right? So we can easily host the events. Right? That means we can conduct the events. Right? Sometimes it might not be in Sri Lanka. Sometimes it might be in a foreign country, and also the organizing or the hosting party also might be from a foreign country. But still, right? So we can, as a service provider, as an intermediate, right? As an intermediate, we can organize these kind of events on behalf of their companies by using our available labor, right? So if we can do this, definitely we can create number of job opportunities to Sri Lanka, right? The next one is when we are going to focus on hosting the events, right? So we have to make sure that we have a proper network, right? So networking is very much important, right? So especially the fiber connections and all that with the new technologies, right? So this is very important. For example, if we have not having a kind of a very good internet connection, and sometimes the hosting and live streaming, right? So might not be working, and the video quality and everything will be very low. Then again, we are facing some difficulties in creating a good virtual reality. And so virtual reality means how we are going to, for example, assume you are participating for the event, not physically. Sometimes you might be participating for the event online, but still you should be feeling the same thing what you are going to feel during a physical event. Right? So this is what we have to make sure how we are going to create a good virtual reality for the event that we are going to conduct. Right? So the next one is ensure the electricity. Nowadays, yes. Yes, sorry for the interruption. Right. So the second one I was telling was ensuring the electricity. Right. So that means these days we have sudden power cuts. Right? Even today, even though we have took this particular event, so we are in a bit of a risk if there is a power cut to be happen, right? Because according to the schedules received by the government, they are saying that during the time of this O-level examination, they might not be continuously supplying the electricity. Right? So with that assurance only, we have decided to do this event. But when it comes to international scale event, right? So if we are going to host this kind of an event, right? So definitely we have to ensure that 100% electricity will be there, right? So for that, if you can create a kind of an industry in Sri Lanka for this event sector and also for the IT sector, if we can create a specific industry and for that particular area, if you can provide more and more electricity, right? So definitely that will be a kind of a positive thing for the industry, because for that particular area we can provide electricity continuously, right? For example, sometimes people also might be accepting this kind of a situation because they know, right? Rather than having electricity at our houses, and so if we can provide this electricity for an industry like this, which creates so many benefits for the country, right? So they will be accepting this, right? Rather than rejecting, right? Definitely they will be accepting, right? So that's what again very important to have a kind of a good setup created in Sri Lanka to rebuild this mice industry. Right. The next one is as I discussed, right? So we have a very low labor cost in Sri Lanka, right? So that means it creates a kind of a added value, right? So if you are going to host an event through Sri Lanka by using our labor, definitely the cost of labor will be very low, right? So then what will happen is you can easily compete with the other markets, right? So you can easily compete with the other markets because the by the cost factor, right? And also when it comes to Sri Lanka, when it comes to our labor force, also they are highly qualified, well-educated set of people are living here, right? Unfortunately, most of them are going for some abroad countries, right? So to find out job opportunities because of this instability, right? So if we can create a kind of a good platform where they can find enough employment opportunities, definitely we can retain them in the country and we can utilize that set of employees, right, for the betterment of the Sri Lanka, right? The next one is helps to minimize the unemployment, right? Nowadays, due to this economic crisis, right? So to be frank, we know most of the IT companies, they are shifting to some other countries, right? Since no proper electricity they are going to receive, and also the network issues continuously happening, right? So most of them are planning to go to some other countries, right? So even most of the hospitality and tourism sector businesses also collapse, where it is very much important for the event industry, right? Because if you are participating for an event, definitely you will be staying at a hotel, and sometimes you might be traveling, right? For example, assume you just came for a conference, right? So conference itself not mean that you are just participating for the whatever the meetings and whatever the conferencing activities happen, right? So not only that, right? So you might be spending 1 or 2 days for shopping, right? So you might be traveling for 1 or 2 destinations in Sri Lanka. That's what this is very important, right? So this, if we can link this event industry towards the hospitality and tourism industry, definitely all the people will be getting the benefit out of this. And so that's what we have to make sure, right? So that we are going to focus and we are going to invest towards this mice industry, specifically a country like Sri Lanka, where we are facing massive destruction in our economy, right? So the next one is when it comes to the previous statistics, right? So when we think about the previous statistics, right? So in 2019, right? So the global, right? The tourism industry has been increased by 4%, right? So which is one of the unique and one of the most important thing, because after 2019 we had to face this COVID-19 pandemic, right? So there was a sudden kind of a decline, but right after that, right, within 3 months of a time, we were able to attract more than 100,000 of tourists to Sri Lanka at the beginning of this year, right? So we had recovered some sort of we have created a kind of a good trend, but again this economic crisis has stopped stop the people the motivation to come to Sri Lanka, right? So then again we have to make sure that we are going to create a kind of a safer environment for the tourists to come to Sri Lanka. Then only we can consider about holding some 1 or 2 events, right? The next one is if you think about the tourist arrivals, right? So 2018, the large number of tourists that we have received from India, and then again from China, UK, Germany, and Australia. Right. So when it comes to 2019, again we are receiving the most number of tourists from India, then from UK, China, Germany, and France. Right. So now when it comes to the tourists that we are going to receive, right, so you can see most of them, right, except India and China, most of them are coming from kind of a good developed countries where they have enough capacity to spend. Right. So then if you can attract more and more tourists with a good quality, right, not always the quantity, right, quantity will not affecting that. For example, in 2019 we have received 1.9 million tourists to Sri Lanka, right? So by focusing on only the quantity will not affect for this country's development. Definitely we have to think about the quality of the tourists, right? So for example, if you think about business tourists, where we have received around 3.65% of tourist arrivals to Sri Lanka, right? So then if we think about this set of tourists, we know they are high spenders, right? So when they come to Sri Lanka, they might be choosing 5-star hotels, and they might be using the conference centers, right? So they might be engaging in business meetings. Sometimes this business meeting might be very much important for our country's development, right? So that's what it is highly important to attract more and more business tourists to Sri Lanka, where they mainly focus on engaging in the MICE activities, right? The next one is adapting for the new technologies, right, which is used by the other countries, right? So sometimes as an organization, right, sometimes we might not be able to grab those technologies, but there is a kind of a role from the government as well to find out whatever the new technologies utilized by some other countries. For example, if you are going to bring 5G internet connections to Sri Lanka, right, so that should be given, the authority should be given by, or the approval should be given by the government, right? So they also have a kind of a role to be played in this particular situation, where they have to gain rather than asking for loans from the other countries, right? So what currently they are doing is their just focus is only having about one week ahead, not at least 1 month ahead, right? So that's what they are planning, right? So if we can focus, if we can go to some other countries, and if we can invite them, right, both the government and non-governmental organizations to conduct their meetings, right, so to host their meetings, right, so these kind of potentials that we have that we can utilize, right, in order to convert our our country, where we can earn some foreign exchange, right? So it will be very important, right, because rather than asking for loans, if we can ask from them, right, to send us some events which is going to be happen in your country, so we can host them, we can coordinate them, right? So whatever the important aspects of the event, we will be able to done by our labor, right? So rather than sending our people to some other countries, we can retain them in the country. Somehow we have to utilize 100%. And if we can gain the maximum benefit out of those people, the educated people in Sri Lanka, definitely we can earn a lot, and we can overcome this critical situation during a short period of time. Right? So definitely the role of the government also is a massive thing that we need to consider. Right? Then the next one is, for example, if you think about these new technologies used by the other countries, right? During the COVID-19 pandemic, we know that most of the events were held through online, right? So even when it comes to the mega scale events, right? For example, if you think about IPA, right? So even that particular event was conducted completely, right? No any physical participants were there, right? So but somehow they have been completed their events, right? So for example, sometimes you can utilize some hybrid techniques, where there are set of physical participants at the same time. You will be having some online participants as well, right? So when it comes to these physical participants and online participants, the virtual reality that you are going to provide for the online participants is very much important, right? To do that, sometimes we can use some VR boxes, right? So which is advanced technological equipment that's available in this world, right? Not the VR boxes that's available in the shops, right? So sometimes we are taking them to see the what do you call the films and all, right? So there are some highly advanced technological VR boxes available, Right? So where you can create the exact virtual reality of the people, those who are joining online. Right? So if we can create some places, right, where we can make them equipped. Right? For example, throughout Sri Lanka, we have these cinemas. Right? So likewise, if we can create some for example, in each and every town, some centers like this, even the cinema could be converted into such kind of a thing, where we can help the events, where we can have the participants online, but still they will be receiving the utmost from the event that we are going to help. For example, now when it comes to the Sri Lankan cinema, now it's almost updated to up to 90 facilities, right? So previously it was there are the 70 facilities, even where you can feel the smell and everything, right? So sometimes if it is raining, right, so again those things also, snow and everything will be there, right? So likewise, there are some new technological equipments that we could use, even which is available in Sri Lanka, but we are not utilizing these available resources for the development of the event industry. Even a public event, we can do it with a good virtual reality by the things which is available in Sri Lanka. And so that's also very much important for us to consider. Whatever the resources available in our country, we have to utilize them, and we have to utilize in an effective way where we could easily attract more and more crowd for the event industry. Even a public event, we will be able to help if we are going to have this kind of a network within the country as well. Right? The next one is when we are organizing an event, right? We have to make sure that we are going to link the local stakeholders towards the MICE industry, right? So, for example, it can be either food and beverage, accommodation, transportation, right? As much as possible, these benefits need to be shared among the local community, right? So then, for example, not just like you are going to take medicines, right? Assume you are a doctor, and you are going to give medicines, and your patients will be paying for yourself, right? So that money is that particular patient has been, for example, sometimes he might be working for a company in Sri Lanka, and he has earned from that particular company, right? So this is the currencies which was already used in Sri Lanka, right? So nothing is there for the economic expansion, right? So if we can take some money from the foreigners, right? Not to take money, that means we are going to provide them a service, and from that only we are going to receive some money from the tourists, right? That money, if we are going to spend in the local economy, right, definitely the economy will be expanded, right? So this is very important for at the moment, rather than printing the currencies, right? So what we are going to do is, in order to solve the issues of these currencies, right, or the income problem of the income, we are going to print more and more currencies. One day it will be impacted on influencing in this inflation, right? So definitely what we have to do is, we have to make sure how we are going to create a kind of a source of income, right? So this is what we are explaining today, right? So this is MICE industry is one of the best potential industries that we have in Sri Lanka, right? In order to have a good source of income to our country, right? So yes, I think I took more than the time allocated, so I'll be stopping from this place, right? So I'll invite Tindara, right, to continue the event. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, right? So yes, Tindara is there, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, Mr. Idris, sir. Ms. Vishwani Kastyarachi, she is a lecturer at Program Manager and Event Management Program at MSI. She graduated from Tourism and Hospitality Management with first class division from Rajarata University of Sri Lanka. She has working experience at Vivanta Airport Garden and the Beyond Escape as well. So Ms. Vishwani Kastyarachi is a young face who has joined the industry and a great role model for the young generation as well. Today she is joined by spending her precious time to share her experiences with us and talk about the benefits of using technology in MICE industry. So what do you think about Ms.?
Yes. Thank you, Tindara, and my the fellow panelists have discussed about the development of the MICE industry and what are the new technologies existing in the industry. So all of these things, actually, when it's come to the MICE industry, I think it is kind of most of the revenue generated sector within the tourism segment. But unfortunately, in Sri Lanka, we not gain the kind of the whole amount of allocation or the resource allocation or the profit from the MICE industry. So all of these into having a new technologies and using a kind of development and all the things, people are likely getting kind of benefit from that from the industry. So I think in the world of all the corporate level, and it is hard to ignore the new innovations, in the coming from and being used with the meetings, incentives, and all the conferences. It is very hard to ignore the innovation. That's why the technology nowadays they are going to use for the MICE industry. So in the meeting industry technologies, they bring like the technology is a coldness factor that can attract the audience or the attendees and enhance the virtual maybe their experience. So it is also enabling meeting planners to work more effectively than with the technology. We can do our work bit more effectively than the other things. So I think we want that when we are adopting to new technologies, it can bring more productivity to our event. It can bring more value to our event. It can be gain more. It's reduce the cost of the event, and it's added kind of resource to event and likewise things. So I think it is important to having a kind of yes, it is important to having adopting to technologies. It is important because of it gives kind of various benefits to us, like the productivity and the value and cost savings thing. So as an example, I would like to say that we had in 2020, there was kind of the Olympic Games in Tokyo. So at that time, they are using kind of technology to we are call it as a facial recognition for the exclusively for their staff and the athletic areas. For that, from that facial recognitions, the innovations, kind of the new innovation, it is really a better experience for that event, because from that they are going to involve more engaging than other things. So it is simplifies the event organizations and processes that gives the hotel and the event planner to better way to collaborate. I think it is important to in like that events. It is very much important, like new kind of technologies like face recognitions thing. They are usually going to kind of having good organized. They are very simplifies their event planners. They also easy to simplifies their event the process, the organization process and everything. I think the collaboration with the hotels and the event participants and the staff of all the Olympic events. So it is a very kind of having easiness to getting some kind of easiness to their event. So likewise, when we take a step ahead, then imagine the facial recognition technology that could read facial expressions in the conference room, the participants, and they can understand, the organizers can understand how they are better, the understanding of how they are attendees of the field. So from that facial recognition technology, they can understand how about the feeling of the attendees, maybe their staff and other the athletics area. So however, in Tokyo, that they have used there for the Olympic event, they have used that technology to simplify their event things, and then kind of collaboration with the hotel and the conference room and everything. They are using that kind of technology. So likewise, you can have you can increase your productivity, you can reduce your cost, and you can reduce the material when you are used to. Let's say if you are doing kind of key card or something like that for the recognition of the people. So it is something like hard for us as an event planner to do kind of thing. We have to get all the details. We have to take some steps. We have to take develop kind of key card or something like that to recognize each and everyone, or a key tag or something like that. Instead of that, those people have used kind of facial recognition technology to improve their collaboration with the people and the easiness of the to getting the attached with the people. So likewise, the another thing is nowadays with the when it comes to Sri Lanka, nowadays we having kind of crisis existing in Sri Lanka. So we have a kind of the economic crisis here. So likewise, at that time, you can the my segment is, as I mentioned, as the previous members has also mentioned, that it is a kind of stage or the segment we can improve without kind of the physical thing. Actually, nowadays, now the mice industry is going through kind of hybrid techniques and the online or the virtual platform. For going for the offline to online mean, they can reduce the resource consumption at like our country. Now we have kind of the lack of resources and lack of the traffic issues and everything. So for that, I think to improve the segment, we can to getting the benefit, the maximum output from the the mice industry. We can take some kind of online or the virtual platform instead of the offline sessions and the physical participation. We can get the online session. From that, we can increase our productivity then like kind of situations, and we can improve our the reduce the resource consumption, the major challenge of these days, the resources. So without having this kind of situation also, we can create or we can improve our effectively we can improve our productivity while using the minimum resources. So for that, let's say if you are going to do a kind of online or the any event or the conference, some kind of thing, we can easily we can reduce the resources, which are maybe the kind of panelists or any conference participants do not need to come to the what you call the respective places. They can do those kind of things with sitting with their own places. So likewise, minimizing the time consuming, we can reduce the time, we can manage the time things and everything. So likewise, we are having a kind of huge benefit to using this kind of mice new technologies to this industry, because nowadays the tourism industry in Sri Lanka, when it's come to the Sri Lankan situation, now the tourism or the hospitality sector is little bit going to kind of there's a drop because of the situation. The previously it has a COVID-19 situation. Now there is a kind of crisis and everything happened. So likewise, in this situation also, we can we can earn some revenue from the mice activities. We can go for the online activities or the online conferences. And I heard that there is the hotel chain in UK. They are going to the Marriott hotel chain. They are using kind of technology from the UK Marriott hotel chain. They can sitting in their place. The conference is going in UK Marriott hotel, but still other Marriott chain hotels, which may be the Singapore and other countries, so they can also join to that conference through the using that Marriott hotel chains. They have a new technology with that hotel chain. So each of everyone, if there is a kind of board meeting in the UK Marriott hotel, so from that place they can contact other Marriott hotel participants through their system. So likewise, they are for their conferences and everything, they are going to the step into forward using the new technological thing. So likewise, from that you don't want to go for the another country. You don't want to spend another time for that. Likewise, you can have so many benefit. You can increase the participants. You can the number of participants. You can increase the productivity, and you are not going to consume much time for that particular thing. So likewise, you can earn many more benefits from the using this kind of technologies to mice industry, especially in kind of these situation. The resources, as I mentioned, resources very much the crucial problem to us. So for this kind of situation, we can use these technologies to reduce the what you call the resources. We can transform into the online session into for this kind of situation. Likewise, we can utilize, we can gain optimum, the maximum level of mice in the sessions, mice development through the new technologies. From that, we can gain kind of variety of what you call the variety of resources, or the variety of benefits through that. So I think those are the things we can get through from the mice industries and the things. So I'm not going to take in too much time, because I think the time has goes also a little bit fine. So I'm going to stop from here. So Tindara, and thank you for the opportunity for giving to talk about these the technologies and benefits and all the things. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing those myths. There are a few more questions that we have received from the audience as well. So this question is for you, Miss Paddy. How is the government's contribution to the development of the mice industry?
Okay, so I kept my preliminary talk a little bit short, because I noticed that lots of the things that I had to cover would come up at the question time. So your first question being the contribution from the government for the mice segment. You see, we have, as all of you know, we have a separate unit in the Tourism Authority called the Sri Lanka Convention Bureau, which was actually formed in the 80s, recognizing the importance of mice. At that time, the mice industry was not so huge, but it was very important. People did meet, and we did have huge important events in Sri Lanka. We have had Pata, we have had Thai, all tourism related events have been held in Sri Lanka, even in the 80s, even during the wartime. So the segment was recognized by the government, and the ministers and the authorities from that time onwards have put a lot of emphasis on the mice industry, on the mice segment. So the industry actually attends people who are specialized in the mice segment. We attend different kind of trade shows. We go and attend different kind of exhibitions which are dedicated for the mice segment internationally. Therefore, when the budgets are done for the Tourism Authority, there are separate budgets allocated for the mice segment. With the increase of the mice or business travel around the globe, with the use of technology, with the use of modern equipment, etc., definitely Sri Lanka needs to upgrade itself. On the technology side, I think we are quite there. Okay, we are not as advanced as maybe European countries, but of course we are there. Now, if we do a hybrid in Sri Lanka, we really do it to international standards. We had a mice event early in December. We invited 200 mice agents from around the world. We had speakers, and it was all done from the BMICH, but it was completely a virtual show, and it was done really, really well. So the technology is here, but of course, there's always room for improvement of infrastructure. For example, we do not have a purpose-built exhibition or an event center in Sri Lanka. So what do I mean by that? it should be a space where you have enough facility for parking. Either ground level or at different levels, we need parking. Then we also need, we just need 4 walls, basically. Then all the equipment inside should be collapsible. From your seating to your stage setup to your partitioning. I mean, Dubai is a fantastic example of that. They have a huge, huge space. It's like a warehouse, actually. Then you just keep, separating it and you use it. So we need definitely a purpose-built event center where you can have exhibitions, where you can have meetings, you can have events and exhibitions and meetings, where you can have weddings for large numbers, you can have government events. So definitely that is required. And I know that there is space in the port city. And then some investors actually have come and had a look at it. Well, if that develops, I think we would be able to do much, much more, because now in our infrastructure, basically BMICH holds 1,200 people maximum. Hotels also, some hotels can go up to 1,000. But then when it exceeds that number, we are really stuck for venues. So it's not only the official meeting venues, we also lack huge venues to do the social activities like dinners and gala dinners and all that. We really lack. So we need to concentrate now and build up that segment so that we are able to then attract very high numbers. Also, we have to, the government also realized that this segment actually brings a per night spend, which is much, much higher than a leisure traffic. That's why, as Mr. Idrus was saying, the numbers may be small, but what we earn from this business segment or from this MICE segment is much, much larger. The spending power of this MICE segment is huge. That is why you notice that most of the hotels now have a banqueting venue. Because if you have a good banqueting venue, even if you do not have space, if you do not have the hotels, the rooms not occupied, you are still able to sell the space for banqueting. I mean, when the pandemic started, all hotels just switched to the F&B and also started to do online catering. It has really, really improved in all the hotels. So yes, to answer your question, yes, government does recognize that the MICE segment is very important. We have a separate unit for that. And we, of course, always have room for development. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Patty Paul. And another questions that we have got from the audience. This is for Mr. Idrus. What are the way to overcome the undevelopment of technology in Sri Lanka, which affects for the MICE industry?
Yes, Jindra, can you just repeat it again? Yes.
What are the ways to overcome the underdevelopment of the technology in Sri Lanka, which affects of the MICE industry?
Okay, yes. Now again, that's what when it comes to the Sri Lankan context, right? So definitely we are lacking of, as Ms. Paddy correctly mentioned, right? So we are not as the expert like the European nations, right? So definitely these developments need to be happen, right? So sometimes specifically, right? So if you think about just having these meetings, right? For example, assume now in Sri Lanka, how many meetings we are conducting physically, right? In the business sector, right? So it's creating a huge problem in Sri Lanka, since we are lack of fuel, which is necessary for the highly or mostly important services to be fulfilled in the country, right? So for that things also, right? So if you have seen, right? So if you have seen the queues and all, sometimes even the ambulances are also there, right? So this is the real scenario, right? So where we have to understand, right? So how we are going to utilize the available resources. Now, for example, when it comes to the modern context, even though you have enough money, right? Sometimes you might not be able to accomplish your needs and wants, the basic human needs and wants, right? So that is that's a huge thing, right, that we have to think, right? Because now in the future, sometimes the value for money will be not there, even though you have money, that you cannot accomplish your needs and wants, right? So definitely we have to utilize the available new technology, specifically for the business meetings that we are going to take in Sri Lanka. Right? For example, if you think about the Sri Lankan main institute, the parliament, right? So from each and every place of Sri Lanka, they are coming to the parliament to participate for this those meetings and all, right? So but nothing happens sometimes, right? So just they are wasting their time. But think about the fuel, the expenses that they are going to spend, right? So if you, for example, if you think about this same like that, if you think about the IT companies, right? Most of the companies that now they have stopped their physical operations, right? For example, if they want to make a meeting, what they are going to do is they will be booking a conference center or a conference hall at a hotel, right? In that particular place, they are going to conduct their meeting, right? So only for once a week, right, or twice a week, they can complete all their meetings, right? So that is what we have to understand, right? How we are going to utilize the technology and how we are going to minimize the usage of available resources, right? Otherwise, this particular problem we definitely might not be able to resolve during a short period of time, right? Then when it comes to this online meetings, right? So this is basically coming under the my segment, right? And also I mean this is domestically, right? Or within Sri Lanka, these kind of things we can promote, right? And also as we have discussed previously, also if we can host the events to be conducted for the in the foreign countries also, that will be another opportunity that we'll be receiving, right? And the next one is if you can create some conference centers, right, as which Perry also correctly mentioned, right? So if you can create some conference centers in different areas, right? So then that enables us to create these business meetings very easily, right? So with a well equipped kind of a center, right? So that is very much important. For example, in Sri Lanka, in Colombo, this is the main business center that we have in the country, right? So but when you think about the availability of these conferencing facilities and all, right? So that is a bit low, right? So that if we can invest more on this kind of things, right? So definitely we can focus on creating more kind of a environment, right? So we will be able to create a kind of a environment where we can easily utilize the technology in order for the development of the country, and also to minimize the cost of operation of the businesses. Right? Sometimes if you can minimize the cost of the operation of the businesses, still they will be able to at least cover up the operational cost. Right? So then they will be at least surviving in this particular situation. Sometimes in this situation, they might not be able to earn the profit which was earned in the previous stages, but still they will be able to sustain. Right? So how many people will say if you think about the employment in Sri Lanka, most of the people will save their jobs, right? But nowadays, right, most of the companies they are shifting to other countries, as well as some of the companies they are going to close down their total operation, right? So likewise, there are so many issues happen in the country where we are going to go for the from bad to worst, right? So we have to stop this. Otherwise, definitely this particular economic crisis will be resulted in a number of death people because of hunger, right? So that will be definitely there, right? So that's what it is very important, utilizing the available resources in the proper way. And also if you have any opportunity to invest in the mice sector, right? So invest them and try to gain the maximum benefit out of this. And also as I mentioned, even in our cinemas, right, sometimes we have enough resources, right? So for this conferencing, right? So why we are not going to utilize this? Nowadays they might be closed because no one is interested on going for these kind of things, and they don't have enough money to spend, right? So why we cannot utilize such kind of available resources? For example, not only the one of the if you think about this cinemas, right? So all the necessary projectors and the white screens and everything is available. Sometimes the few of the equipments you need to purchase, not everything, right? So sometimes this kind of potential areas we can identify and we can convert them to which is suitable for the MICE sector. And so by utilizing all these things, I think we can promote the MICE industry in Sri Lanka. Yes, I hope you got the answer, Tindra. Yes.
Thank you, sir. There's another question for Miss Vishwani. Are there, Miss?
Yes.
What are the benefits of new technology to control the event cost in MICE industry?
Yes. Yeah. When it's come to the MICE, the event cost, actually, when it's come to the specifically in the MICE industry, we can take more steps into control the event cost and everything, because nowadays we are going with the technology and everything than doing a physical and doing a kind of innovative thing, because the innovation is now going through the throughout the world. So using that new kind of technologies, I guess that we can get we can also reduce the event cost or the MICE or the conference cost or the meeting cost. Like we can use kind of new technologies, which means we can to reduce the, let's say if it is a promotional or advertising part for event, the particular event. So previous days we are just having a kind of papers, the flyers, the handbills and kind of things we are going to use to the or the maybe what you call the advertisement in the maybe newspaper, maybe TV and everything. So likewise, we are going to do the promotional thing using those kind of thing. You have to bear some kind of huge cost to those kind of thing for only for the promotional thing. So, but nowadays with the technology and everything, we have that opportunity in our hand, in our way, with using our creativity and creative skills to do our promotional as it is. So, like the mostly in the social media, we are going to promote each and everything through the social media, through not only the destination or the place which you are going to help for the event. We can promote these the things in the throughout the world. So it's not going to have in a huge cost for the promotional and advertising thing. Just like a small we need a kind of Wi-Fi connection and everything, and our creative video, maybe the skills and the e-flyers and everything. Just we can share the each and everything with the creative way to attract the audience. At the same time, we can the reduce the cost. At the same time, we can attract the audience using kind of new creative kind of promotional thing. So the social, so when it's come to the social media, we have the Facebooks, we have LinkedIn, especially when it's come to the corporate world. Most of the people are going to encouraging or the engaging, involving with the LinkedIn. So we can use kind of LinkedIn for to share kind of MICE, especially for the MICE, it's a meeting conference, and mostly the business people, so the business travelers, maybe the professionals or the kind of people are engaging with the MICE thing. So for that, each and every person engaging with this MICE industry, they are used to use kind of LinkedIn for their purposes. So I have seen that from the LinkedIn platform, there are kind of huge the promotional and advertising thing they are going to do, because each and every professionals and each and every sector, from even not with the event industry, the hospitality, tourism and medical, and each and every industry people are going to involve with the social media, especially in LinkedIn and Twitter and kind of thing. So from that we can do our promotional thing without having a kind of not used to bear a kind of huge cost. So let's say for the kind of let's say if it is a virtual event, maybe online event, for that event also we don't need to go for the high cost. We can use for the kind of meeting apps are there now. Developers are going to develop kind of meeting apps for each and everything. The Zoom also with the COVID-19 situation. So for the meeting and conference, everything they don't want a kind of the physical place. They are going to meet with the virtual platform. For that also using technology, we're using the cost with the low cost. So they are going to meet and they are going to fulfill their requirement through using kind of meeting app. So likewise, for the promotional, for the meetings, for the meetings and conference and everything, we can use kind of social medias and meeting apps and kind of the platform for the events to reduce the cost. And at the same time, for the resources also, we don't need to pay much cost for the resources from, if it is especially in the virtual event or the physical one. From the technology, with the technology, we can have, as I mentioned, the facial recognitions kind of thing. So from that, we need to have in a kind of the publicity material cost, something like that. We don't want to bear, because having with the new technologies, we can do it with the lower cost. So likewise, from the with the technology, we can reduce the event cost, especially in the MICE industry. So these are the main things we can learn through we can gain through the with the MICE industry to reduce the cost. So I hope you have got the answer. So Tindara.
Thank you very much, Miss. And there's another question for Miss Paddy Paul. What is the role of new technology that can play in order to attract the MICE audience? Are there, Miss?
Yeah. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So actually, the new technology has come to stay. As I told you earlier, the new technology has come to stay, and we can boldly say now that without the new technology, MICE or tourism industry cannot survive. This is actually the truth. Even if you take the general tourism, everybody is doing everything online. So when we make a proposal, they have checked and they're telling you sometimes things that you are even not aware. For example, new hotels have come up. Sometimes, we are not promoting it because I personally, if I don't know the hotel, I'm not promoting it. But they have browsed, they have seen the location, they have seen the price, and they ask us. So hospitality, the tourism just has gone to technology. We will not be able to do without the new technology, right? And for Sri Lanka, yes, we must have technology. Improvement of technology is very important. And we have to adapt ourselves to the international norms and needs. So if they went to the United States or if they went to Europe and they had an event, okay, they had it physically, but they used the telephone for everything that they wanted to do. So by just clicking, they knew where is the next meeting, which room. They knew where is the lunch. They knew what is happening in the evening as a social function. Whether you have to register, everything they could do on this app. So if we do not get advanced and if we are not familiar with the terms and the requirements of our end client, we might lose out to other countries which have it. So if a client has been to the US and he used all of this technology through his mobile telephone, if he is to organize an event in Sri Lanka, his expectations will be the same. So we really need to up our technology, and that will only come as we start to increase the MICE business to Sri Lanka. So for example, if somebody comes to me and says, listen, I am wanting to bring 500 people, but they are coming from all over the world, and I need the translation, simultaneous translation of all the proceedings of this 3-day conference on my app. Now we have it I mean, physically in certain venues. BMICH, I know, has simultaneous translation facility in their main hall. I also know we can hire this facility, but that's not what they're asking. They want to be able to be in their homes and listen to this speech in their own language, which is now being done through the app, through the mobile telephones. These are being done. So we may lose out if we do not improve ourselves and up our technology. We might not be able to attract meetings which are really high tech. So yes, answer to you, the new technology will play a huge role in attracting business to Sri Lanka. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, thank you, Miss. And now we have come to the end of the webinar. Before that, I would like to invite Mr. Salinga, one of our student Bachelor of Event Management at MSI, for the thanking speech.
Thank you, Tindara. Good morning all. Director Mrs. Ann Pieris, our keynote speaker today, and our guest speaker and Ms. Patty Paul, all our program managers, all the lecturers at MSI, academic and non-academic staff members at MSI, fellow student members, all the participants today for this webinar, and the live viewers as well. I'm delighted to be with you at this webinar on use of new technologies for mice development. It was a great knowledge and experience sharing session. On behalf of the organizing team, Bachelor of Event Management Honors students at MSI, I would like to thank Management and Science University Malaysia and the Management and Science Institute Colombo for giving us this opportunity to organize such an event. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all speakers for kindly spending their valuable time and to share their valuable experience with us today. I must thank the keynote speaker, Mrs. Sam Pieris, the director at MSI. Thank you very much, sir. And Ms. Patty Paul, the managing director of Golden National Travelers and the senior lecturer at MSI, our guest speaker today. Thank you for your valuable industrial experience shared with us today, ma'am. Then our two program managers at MSI, Mr. Idrus and Ms. Vishwani. Mr. Idrus, the lecturer and the program manager for hospitality and tourism management. Thank you for great help and guidance given to us, sir. Ms. Vishwani Kastyarachi, the lecturer and the program manager of our event management program, Bachelor program at MSI. Thank you, Miss, for your guidance and help and given us for this event. And I must mention the academic and non-academic staff members, especially Mr. Akila and his social media marketing team for their great technical support. Last but not least, I must mention my fellow members and the all bachelor and diploma programs who have joined as participants today. And finally, my fellow members for BEM, Tindra, Amal, and Bevan. Tindra as the moderator of this webinar. She has done a great job. Thank you, Tindra. And Amal and Bevan, with the great challenges we faced with the current prevailing situation in the country, we organized this event as a virtual organizing team. So we overcome all the challenges, and I must mention my three members, Tindra, Amal, and Bevan. Finally, I must thank all who are supported in numerous ways for making this event a remarkable one. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Back to you, Tindra.
Thank you, Salinga. session, we were able to discuss the technology usage in the MICE industry and the benefits of using technology for the development of the industry. I guess this was a great opportunity for we have experienced in our life. So thanks for spending your valuable time by joining with us to help make this event success. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.